Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on our very first Resolute Life video. This is your first step towards a resolute life. A life lived according to different values and principles. A life of fulfillment, achievement, connectedness, and resilience. Before we start, this video is based on the principles and teachings of the book, The Daily Life of Resolute Beings. Live with Intent. The book is available from any leading online bookstore like Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Should you feel that this video really helped you live the life you always wanted, please share it with others. You are not meant to travel your journey alone. Share with others and invite them to be resolute with you. We also post regularly on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also find our podcast on most reputable podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to be the first to know when a new video drops. Today we are going to talk about how our core paradigms form and how we can change it. Core paradigm is a term used to describe the way we view everything, the world around us, people around us, and even ourselves. Paradigms shape our understanding and interaction with the world, influencing everything we do. Sean Covey uses the analogy of wearing a pair of glasses to describe paradigms. The color of the shade of the glasses we wear affects which color everything around us appear, and the same goes for paradigms. They color or frame of reference. But how are core paradigms formed? From infancy stage, we interact with the world around us. That interaction, which represents our behavior, elicits a response from our environment, which can be seen as the result of our behavior. We quickly learn when our behavior leads to good results or bad results. The outcome of those results keep feeding our understanding about ourselves, about others, and about the world around us, which create our core paradigms. A baby crying out will learn different lessons depending if her caretakers are nurturing and responsive, or neglectful and abusive. A toddler dancing wildly to music will learn a different lesson if the adults around him encourages the dancing, or strongly criticize and rebuke him. A teenager expressing her thoughts and feelings will learn a different lesson if her peers are interested and engage in compassionate discussion, or if she is rejected and ridiculed. All the lessons we learn from these results reinforce our core paradigm. Once our core paradigms are formed, we start expecting certain results or outcomes from our behavior. These paradigm-related expectations represent our beliefs. Based on our paradigms, we start believing that certain things will happen, or not happen. Therefore, our beliefs flow from our core paradigm. In turn, our attitude, which is basically our emotional response to situations, are determined by our beliefs. If we believe negative things will happen, we generate negative emotional reactions, which will reflect in a somber, aggressive, or negative attitude. If we believe positive things will happen, we generate positive emotions, which will reflect in an uplifting, engaging, optimistic attitude. Lastly, our behavior is determined by our attitude. Our actions and reactions always correspond with the general mood that we are in. We have more energy, engage in productive activities, and engage with others better when we are in a positive, friendly mood. The total opposite happens when we are in a bad mood. We feel lethargic, we engage in self-sabotaging behavior, and we struggle to connect with others. To explain this flow better, let's use two examples. If your core paradigm is one where you are valued, where people around you can be trusted, and where the world is generally friendly and reward initiative, you will believe that with hard and smart work, you can earn promotions. This belief will lead to a positive attitude at work, and that positive attitude will cause you to do your work at high quality, and even do some extra work, and you will relate well with those around you. Naturally, the opposite is also true. If your core paradigm is one where the world around you is hostile, where people will always exploit and discriminate against you, and where you do not carry much value, this will make you believe that no matter what you do at work, you will never be noticed or promoted. This expectation will lead to a negative attitude at work, causing you to do the absolute minimum, and always look for opportunities to shift responsibility. Of the two examples I mentioned, guess who stand the best chance of being promoted? Who is best placed to live a fulfilling, accomplished, and connected life? In the book, The Daily Life of Resolute Beings, Live with Intent, this described flow is called the flow of determination. The flow of determination, represented by the red arrows, works as follows. Our core paradigm, which represents our foundation, determines our beliefs, which represents our expectations. Our beliefs in turn determine our attitude, which represents our emotional response, and our attitude determines our behaviors, which is our actions and reactions. This flow culminates in results like getting promoted or getting fired, and these results in turn reinforces all the elements, our attitude, our beliefs, and our core paradigms. In the opposite direction, represented by the organ arrows, we find the flow of influence. Each element can influence its preceding counterpart. For example, if we change our behavior, we can influence our attitude over time. If we change our attitude, we can influence our beliefs over time. And if we change our beliefs, we can influence our core paradigms over time. This is the essence of philosophy behind the book, Atomic Habits, by James Clear. His groundbreaking book, which is a must-read by the way, emphasizes that small incremental changes, or atomic habits, can lead to remarkable improvements over time. He is referring to the flow of influence, that over time, when we change our behavior, our habits, we can change our entire life. At this point, I would like to mention a very important word of caution. In the long term, a change in behavior is not sustainable if your core paradigm does not change. If the way you view the world does not change, it will be impossible to affect long-term change of your beliefs, and in turn affect long-term change of your attitude, and in turn your behavior. The only guaranteed and sustainable way of behaving differently is to be a different person. And that change comes from the inside. Naturally, using atomic habits to slowly influence change is very important, and the daily life of resolute beings encourage behavior change. But the approach of the resolute life is to focus on changing your core paradigm. Change from the inside first. If you change your paradigm, it will lead to a change in behavior, because your paradigm determines your behavior through the flow of determination. Trying to change your life through the flow of influence is like trying to white-knuckle your way through life. Yes, it might work for some people. No, actually it only works for a very small number of people. For the most of us, sheer grit is simply not enough to ensure sustainable and long-term change. For most of us, we need to follow the flow of determination by changing our core paradigm and work our way up from there. Changing your behavior will only lead to short-term success. If you try to change your behavior only, your life will be characterized by always starting new things, like New Year's resolutions or new habits, but never seeing things through. You always fall back into your old lifestyle patterns too soon, because your old patterns or thinking and feeling were never changed to begin with. A great example is of people who lose a lot of weight during a very strict diet, just to pick it all up again after the strict diet was completed. Changing your attitudes or beliefs will lead to medium-term success. When you change your attitude or beliefs, you will most definitely achieve success because under normal conditions, your new behaviors are sustained. However, once confronted with roadblocks or stress, you fall back into the patterns of your old lifestyle. The patterns of behavior you are used to deal with roadblocks and stress in the past. In other words, you crack under pressure. Let's use the same example as above, of people looking to lose weight. People who change their beliefs or attitude can develop and maintain healthy lifestyles, but during times of stress or loneliness, they tend to overeat and or stop exercising. This is because at their core, their paradigm of themselves, they do not see themselves as healthy people. They see themselves as capable of leading a healthy lifestyle, at most, but still do not see themselves as healthy at their core. Finally, changing your paradigm will lead to permanent success. Long-term change of your core drives sustainable success. Yes, you will stumble and make mistakes as you transform your paradigm, but failures are seen as learning opportunities. Let's refer back to our example. If you see yourself as a healthy person, if your paradigm sees yourself as being holistically healthy, you will be determined to push through difficult times, and you will be flexible enough to adapt when needed. Every now and again you might not eat right or stop exercising, but you will always bounce back quickly, and in most cases, you are able to push through until you have developed your new lifestyle. At this point, you might ask me, how do I change my core? How do I transform my paradigm? From the start, we need to accept that one worldview cannot be simply replaced by another. From the day we are born, we continuously construct a world for ourselves through our internal talk. Once we reach adulthood, we maintain this often distorted perception of ourselves and the world. For decades, we repeatedly tell ourselves the same things over and over, reinforcing the same choices and experiences. This internal talk forms and sustains our paradigm through decades of deeply ingrained thought patterns. Changing this is not easy. However, there are two ways in which our paradigms can change. Firstly, in rare cases, changes in our internal reality can happen instantly through paradigm shifts. Some type of profound experience can shake our core beliefs so deeply and disrupt our worldview completely. These encounters can either be overwhelmingly positive, like witnessing the birth of your child, or having a profound spiritual experience. Or these encounters could be overwhelmingly negative, like enduring significant emotional or physical trauma, or receiving a diagnosis of a terminal illness. But in all cases, these encounters overwhelm us and shake us deeply, to our core. However, for most people, even such powerful experiences do not always lead to lasting change. While they may certainly have a significant impact, they rarely affect a permanent shift in our internal reality. But it is worth noting that in some cases, once-off events could lead to paradigm shifts. In most cases, though, changes to our core paradigm occur through a slow, difficult, and deliberate process. According to the daily life of resolute beings, live with intent, 6 key requirements lead to a paradigm shift. You don't need all 6 in place to start the process, but all is required to solidify the change. Therefore, while all 6 requirements are necessary for a complete transformation of our internal reality, the process can begin with any requirement and proceed in any order. Fulfilling these 6 requirements is a natural consequence of practicing the 3 principles of a resolute life. Let's quickly discuss these 6 requirements to change your core paradigm. Firstly, we have self-awareness. The more we are aware of our basic paradigms, the more we can take responsibility for them. You need to become aware of your own paradigm and its limitations. Without this awareness, you won't know what changes you need to make. The second requirement is desire. Change is difficult. Human evolution has hardwired us to seek the familiar and resist change. The second requirement for a paradigm shift is to overcome this resistance and genuinely desire change. Without a deep, authentic desire to change, you will be impervious to any intervention, no matter how powerful. Desire represents the emotional energy you need for change. True transformation requires more than just a decision, more than just cognitive behavior. It also requires a burning desire, which is emotional behavior. Unless your head and your heart are aligned, your behavior will remain unchanged. In the third place, we have the requirement of a vision of the future. Mark Twain famously said, "I can teach anybody how to get what they want out of life. The problem is that I can't find anybody who can tell me what they want." The third requirement for a change in paradigm is closely tied to the first principle of a resolute life. The first principle is called live with intent, and is about discovering your purpose and living intentionality. To channel the energy of your desire to change, you need a direction to channel it to. Like a boat adjusting its sails to harness the power of the wind, your vision for the future helps you harness your energy and build the momentum needed for change. The fourth requirement is skill. Living the daily life of resolute beings involves specific tasks and activities that promote and sustain this lifestyle. Like any pursuit, your success in living a resolute life depends on developing the necessary skills to convert energy, your input, into meaningful outcomes, the desired output. While skills, such as emotional intelligence, communication, time management, and financial management are universal, their expression are unique to each person. This uniqueness requires a personalized set of skills based on your own personal journey. Requirement number 5 is habits. Changing our core requires breaking old patterns of behavior and forming new ones. First, you must unlearn the habits that reinforce your previous paradigm. You must stop feeding the negative thoughts and actions that sustain your old internal reality. At the same time, you must replace old habits with new ones that support your desired paradigm. You must cultivate behaviors, thoughts, and emotions that reflect a resolute life. Change cannot happen in a vacuum. If you don't deliberately replace old habits with new, positive ones, you risk developing new negative habits based on your outdated internal reality. You must build while you break, and learn while you unlearn. The last requirement is as important as all the others, and this is support. Whether your internal reality interprets the world as comforting or threatening, the familiarity of this paradigm makes it feel reliable, even if it's flawed. However, this changes when your worldview shifts. When you replace your internal reality with a new one, the world around you seems strange and unfamiliar. At your core, you will feel alone in a very strange place. While your old reality may have been an illusion, it was at least a familiar illusion. To sustain and expand your new internal reality, you need support from like-minded people who will encourage you, help you when needed, and celebrate your victories. Surround yourself with people who share your new worldview and understand your journey because they've experienced it themselves. Lean on those who genuinely care about your growth and fulfillment, whether they are family, close friends, or new connections. This brings us to the end of our video. In this upcoming week, start work on your flow of determination. Analyze your core paradigm and find those elements that are holding you back from living the life you always wanted. Decide what kind of core paradigm you would like, and slowly start replacing the negative elements of your core paradigm. Start working on the 6 requirements for change. Let's list them again. Self-awareness, desire, vision for the future, skill, habits, and support. Yes, you will not change in a week, Change at your core will take time, but every journey starts somewhere. Let yours start this week. Keep an eye open for all the tools, tips, and guides we post every week, which will help you on your Resolute journey. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember to subscribe and to share this video with others. Check out other content on our website, socials like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, podcasts on Spotify and Apple. And if you have not done so yet, get your copy of The Daily Life of Resolute Beings Live with Intent today. Next week, our video will focus on calibrating your personal reality with universal reality. See you next week. Live resolutely.